Okay, we should be live. Welcome to the stream, everyone. And yeah, this will be a fun one. This will be a Star Strike format locals. So if you don't know what Star Strike format is, Star Strike format is the format after Frog, but it's a bit of a time after Frog. It's January 2011. So this is our first 2011 format. It used to be set in 2010, but Gravekeepers was such a good deck that people wanted Closed Force to be in the format, so they shifted when the format actually was, based around. So based around an El Paso regional qualifier instead of, I think, YCS Atlanta in November of 2010. But it seems like a pretty neat format. So we're going to be having a monthly for it next month. We're going to be having a locals this weekend and also either next weekend or the weekend after. It depends on this when we're starting the actual monthly tournament. But yeah, we got 7 players signed up. It'd be great if we could get an 8th, but hi CS, welcome to the stream. But yeah, looks like we got 7. If we do have to just run it with 7, we'll run it with 7. Yeah, it's 5:01. I don't want to delay things too much. So let's just get this thing started. Yeah. Sometimes you don't get to 8. It happens. We're going to make this unranked. So that way people don't lose any ranking on this. So that way they can test. And then we're going to start this party off. Oh, hold. Maybe. Maybe there's one more. Nope. Okay, there we go. Not one more. We're just going to dive in. We're going to shuffle the seeds. Normally we don't shuffle, but normally we seed based on format library rankings. But yeah. And volcanic decks in general are a bit tough to master CS in whatever format you're in. But yeah, I mean, it could also just be because it's like underpowered too. Like that is something that could be, right? If you don't know, Volcanics, I think, recently either won or topped a Perfect Circle event. But yeah, it's like Perfect Circle is an interesting spot right now where there's a lot of experimentation going on. But it's unclear how good or bad a lot of those decks are because it is such a small community. So yeah, I don't know. It could be a deck that is able to win once or twice, and just doesn't really have much success after. Could be someone else. I don't know. Let's dive into this game here between Aretos and Odyssey Icaros. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to mute the volume there. CS is unsure why they chose to play Sakuretsu armor in the deck or have a side of Barrier Statue with the Inferno Sloth Dragon and Cliff the Trap Remover. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Saku maybe for Glad Beast or something like that. I mean, I guess also, you're removing your opponent's stuff each turn. And so the idea is that like the only way they can get in to stop your stuff from happening is through battle. And so like you've got Saku to stop that. But I don't know. It's tough. Theory crafting is tricky in general. You have to ask Wari about that. But looks like we have a Gravekeeper Mirror. You love to see it. So, yep, Necro Valley is getting popped by this other Necro Valley that's getting activated. And then maybe a Tribute coming down. Yep, there's Royal Tribute. Love to see it. Pitching a Recruiter. So, happy to see that gone. Recruiter is the card that really puts Gravekeepers over the edge in this format because you just get to search out so much and just keep a chain of recruiters going. So you always have card advantage and you're stopping what your opponent's doing. You've got Tribute to rip their cards out of hand. It's just kind of brutal. A 95 Plenty points out that the deck's worst matchup, i.e. Volcanics, in Perfect Circle format are DDT and Demise. So I think specifically the side deck, not necessarily the Saku's, because Saku didn't really stop any of that stuff. Anywho, Spy is going to search out a Descendant, which is going to use effect to pop the set, or attempt to, with priority, I assume. And Odyssey Icaros has got to think here about what exactly to do. Now, if it's Descendant, or not Descendant, if it is Recruiter, then you are fine, because you just search out something off Recruiter, and then you probably take the 2k hit with that. But Yeah, it looks like Bottomless is going to get chained to that, so that's going to get rid of the Descendant. Unfortunately, it was a Spy, so Spy will be gone for Icaros here. But that being said, it seems like Aratos did not have any other monsters here. Stell is going to come down. Stell's going to be quite good here, getting back the Descendant and the Spy, so that's a bit tricky. Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Clemmy mentions that those decks in OTK, whereas Volcanic Strategy is to grind out, so makes sense. But yeah, Icarus is just going to set 2, pass back, most likely a Spy, figuring that Aratos does not have a good way to really get rid of that Spy here. Duality is going to come down. This is in the format now, first format where it is legal, revealing a Spy, a Commandant, and Duality. Now, you're in kind of a tough spot because, you know, if you just set a Spy, then Icarus here flips up their Spy, goes into Descendant, pops to your Spy, right? And then it's like, it's a bit tricky there. Dark Hole on the Spy, though, so that will clear that Spy, which we did know about from the tribute earlier. I was going to set 1 like the Spy and pass back. And Icarus also going to set 1, pass back. So we're getting a very interesting sort of back and forth here, where both players are trying to flip the Spy, pop, you know, the opponent's stuff with Descendant, and they're trying to just counteract those Spies getting flipped. But Artist thinking here. Apparently, Odeon Primite won YCS Lille just today, which is very interesting. I know in retro play, Europe and America are quite different in terms of the results and what decks do well. So I'm not sure if that's the same thing with modern play, where Europe and America, things might be different or the same. I just don't know enough about that. But it'd be interesting there. Descendant is going to pop that Spy. Try and get him for 2k. That's going to run into a Dim Priz. So that's 2 Descendants banished here. So you can't like sell them back, which is kind of rough for Aratos here. Commandant going to come down, 2100 beater. I mean, that's a 4-turn clock if it connects. Going to attack in, and there's a Mirror Force, so that's going to get rid of the Commandant. But notably, Icaros does have that engrave if they want to sell that back. So it's a bit tricky there. Another Duality coming down. Going to reveal 3 cards off the top. Going to reveal Stell, Recruiter, and Assailant. Stell is going to be the pick there, which I think makes sense, because you can go into the others off of a Spy that you get back off the Stell. And there's the Stell there, going to try and get back a Recruiter and a Spy. Both those make sense to me. Probably setting the Spy and then flipping that up next turn. They could also just run out Recruiter and try and get in. It looks like they are going to opt for that instead. That's going to get warninged, though. So I believe that does not trigger the Recruiter, because it doesn't actually reach your control if it gets warning there. Warning is also in the format, so we're seeing a lot of like Tengu staples come back here in Star Strike format, which makes sense because this is one of the last 5Ds format before Tengu format. I don't think it's the exact last. I think Trishula format is the last format there, but this is getting close to it. So Spy is going to get flipped up here, and that's going to go for a Recruiter there. MST hitting the book, which, you know, not necessarily the best thing for Artos to hit there, but they don't necessarily have a choice. They're going to go for a Descendant, tribute that Recruiter, try and pop the center back row, see if it's anything good. It looks like that'll be Mirror Force, so hit something very good there. Recruiter also gets a search there, and then Artos probably, oh, they're going to attack him with everything. I was thinking that maybe they treat the Spy and pop the remaining set, but I guess the idea is that that set trades 1-for-1 with the monsters anyways, because Mirror Force is gone, so you don't really need to do that. And it looks like Icaros is going to scoop it up there, and they're going to go on to game 2. Okay, so very interesting first game of a mirror there. Let's dive into Run from Red versus Dump Truck, see what they're doing. I guess they're in siding, so we could look at PJ versus Gerbil. Not in custom cards, in unlimited. Gerbil versus PJ here. So it seems like PJ is on Glads, which is very interesting, and Gerbil is on a plant deck. So very interesting matches here, or decks here. Seems like neither player has won a game yet. It does seem like relatively early on. It's kind of surprising, but it's hard to tell in this though, because, you know, Glads can just keep sending the things back in the deck. This does seem like a pretty rough position to be in here with the War Chariot and a quest there. Plants kind of need their monster effects to go through, so War Chariot is very annoying for them to deal with, especially with only 1 card in hand here. I don't know if Spore has been used or not. It might have been used. That might have been the banish on the Globe Bulb, or that could have just been Ready Ari, which we did see before. I would assume it's the Ready Ari. So I don't think Glow Bulbs use, or not Glow Bulbs, Spores use effect yet. But the War Chariot kind of checked that. You can't activate the Spore effect without that getting War Charioted. And that's kind of rough. So looks like we're going to go back into main. A defense vision monster is something the Gladbees love to see. That a quest is going to attack into the set monster. Dust Tornado is going to try and hit one of the back rows. It's going to hit the War Chariot, so that means an effect can happen here if there's not another War Chariot back there. And will this attack... Ooh, Raikou. Okay, yeah, so Raikou can try and pop the quest. Now, if there's another War Chariot back there, that will not go through. And there is indeed another War Chariot back there. So unfortunately, that will not go through. But a quest cannot search out a quest, so that means that you've gotten rid of 2 War Chariots. Unless the third back row is also a War Chariot, then that would be a bit tricky. Yeah, I don't think Gladiator Beast got any new cards around this period. It's just a deck that you can play. It's like, it does its loop that it does throughout the 5Ds era the same way. And with Ready Aries, it can sort of have access to a DD Crow that's searchable, so you can sort of deal with these sort of plant-style decks a bit better than you might be able to otherwise. There's also an argument that is pretty good against Gravekeepers because you just run into a defense position spy, bring out Murmillo, and pop the monsters, so that's pretty good there too. So there are some different sort of shenanigans you can do. Okay, Card Trooper is coming down. It's going to mill 3, and it's going to try and run into that Ready Ari. I'll have to see if it's able to do that or not. Nope, Waboku is going... Well, I mean, I guess it does run into Ready Ari, but now Ready Ari can get a search there. I don't think V Exchange is targeting the Ready Ari. Yeah, I think that was a misclick there. But yeah, Murmillo is not even the best pick here. Darius is something you could potentially do. Yeah, Quest is probably just the move. Searching out War Chariot. Just getting that back. And things are not looking good for Gerbil here. Not looking good at all. You just got to think. I feel like they've got a path to victory, though. Checking the opponent's graveyard, seeing if there's anything they want to Ready Ari out. I mean, Dandy's a decent Ready Ari. Ryo coming down as well, and yeah, Gerbil's just going to say, nope, I can't deal with that. You got it. And they're going to go on to game 2. Let's see Run for Red versus Dump Truck here. Dump Truck is on the Gravekeepers, but Run for Red did win game 2. So I don't know if Run for Red is on Gravekeepers or not. We're about to find out with this Royal Tribute coming down. It looks like they are indeed on Gravekeepers as well. So we had 2 Gravekeepers mirrors, and the 2 non-Gravekeepers decks were matched up against each other. So unfortunate to see. But looks like the rest of the hand is Stell, Bottomless Trap, Hole, and Solemn Warning. So Stell can just get back the Gravekeepers that they lost there if they so wish. And looks like that Stell is going to go into effect. And yeah, Dump Truck says they're cooked. They are in kind of a rough spot here. Commandant can try and run over the Recruiter, and then the Bottomless Trap Hole can stop some summons from coming through. It's, of course, very awkward because, you know, well, actually, Recruiter cannot search out a spy. So, yeah, it's a bit tricky here. Yeah, Storm Ragnarok not being legal in this format is a big sigh of relief. Yeah, there are some decent cards in Storm Ragnarok. I remember from the time, I was like, I really liked the Nordic Beast monsters. I thought they were really neat. Nock is coming down here onto Recruiter, and that's going to be kind of rough there. And then Duality is coming down as well. So they could just tribute out the remaining Gravekeeper if they want to, but they are going to take Dimpriz. I think that is the smarter choice. But it would be funny if they just tributed again. But yeah, 6 Samurai Hell after this. I'm excited for that. That will be a fun time. But I just remember as a casual player around the time, I really liked the Nordic Beasts. I thought they were neat. But yeah, Recruiter attacking in, and that's going to go through there. I think, honestly, Run for Red probably should have just done a Commandant play there. Just run out Commandant, tried to attack in a Recruiter, and left it at that. Because, like, again, with the Bottomless Trap Hole, you can try and stop what the Recruiter searches out. It is awkward, though, either way. But I feel like Nock is a much more likely side deck card coming in. So, you play into the Nock with the set Recruiter. I mean, honestly, if you wanted the Recruiter out there, you could just summon it. But I guess that plays into Bottomless Trap Hole. But, like, you do bait out a Bottomless Trap Hole at least. So I guess it just depends on what you want to bait. Allure here, drawing 2, banishing the Descendant. Run for red, setting another card there. Will there be another knock is the question. There might not be. We'll have to see. Solemn Warning would be rough if it is a spy as well, so that's also kind of tricky. But, I mean, Maxi, like, if you look at Maxi in Tengu format, for instance, like, it is not the best card in the world, right? It is good in the right circumstances, but it's not, like, the oppressive thing that it will eventually become, right? So, I think, honestly, it's probably fine in this format. Or I don't even know if it's in this format, but yeah, there's the warning. So yeah, as I said, you know, if it's warning, that's going to be rough. Bottomless trap hole is known about here. So that's also going to be a bit tricky. Dump has a really good play. If that's set as a spy, they can just flip up a spy. But I mean, warning can stop that spy though. That's the thing. So run from red does have a way to deal with the spy. It's just that recruiter there is kind of annoying. So they're going to set 1, pass back. They know the set is bottomless trap hole on Dumptrick's side. It looks like Assailant is going to get flipped up. Is that going to merit a bottomless trap hole or a solemn warning? I mean, definitely not a solemn warning, but will it merit a bottomless trap hole? And that is actually a pretty good think there. I think I might just do it and just hope that you just keep trading 1 for 1 and be fine. I don't know. We'll have to see. Runfred is thinking. They are giving it a thonk. They are going to bottomless that. I think that is... I mean, I don't know. I would do that too. You know the dump trick knows about the bottomless trap hole, but you also know that you have to use the bottomless trap hole at some point. And you can warning if, like, they drop a Descendant right now, for instance. But yeah, you want to save the warning for something else. And you don't necessarily want dump trick to have field presence here. Dump trick going to set 1, pass back. Is there going to be another spy here flipping up? Is it just going to be a set recruiter? I feel like it probably is going to be... Oh, it's a Commandant. Very interesting there. That's going to be fine from Dump Truck, and that Commandant's going to attack in. Maybe into a Dim Priz. Yep, there's the Dim Priz. Has Bottomless Trap Hole been used up already? Or did I misremember the card getting where it was set? Maybe I did that. But anyways, Unfred is going to set 2 more, pass back. And I'm going to set 1 more, pass back. It is riveting gameplay, folks. I mean, it is kind of an interesting matchup here, just seeing the grind game going on here. Warning is going to come down on the Commandant. I'm not sure I would have used the warning there. Did they not have Bottomless Trap Hole? Did I misremember what they added off the Pot of Duality? I might have misremembered. That could also be the case. Yeah, those monsters keep coming, which is not a guarantee in Gravekeepers, because Gravekeepers often play a pretty low monster count because you can just use Recruiter to search out so many. You can still to restock your hand as well. Looks at Run from Red setting 1 more. Are they going to pass back? Or are they going to do something? No, they're going to pass back. Duality there. That does draw Dump Truck into a monster. Probably what they're going to take, because Tribute's useless here. And they already have a Necro Valley out. So, yep, there goes Tribute. There goes the Necro Valley. And that Commandant's going to come down. Run for Red's going to think here. That's going to be fine. Interesting. Commandant got an attack in there, and that's going to get Dim Priz, so that's why it was fine. 7 Tools is going to come down here, paying 1,000 to hopefully stop this attack. Will it indeed be stopped? I guess I just misremembered them having Bottomless. But yeah, the Commandant will be able to beat over that Commandant, so that is a bit tricky. Run for Red setting 1. And not ideal here. There goes the Recruiter in. And this is going to be a lot of damage if this all connects. So 3,800. Doesn't quite cut Run for Red off of using Solemn Warning. But it does get them really close. Dim Priz on, I assume, the Recruiter. That will go through. Commandant still able to attack in. Deal 21 there. And they're going to set 1 more. Pass back. Not looking too hot for Run from Red. They do have a monster to set there, so that can help a bit. Spy's going to get flipped up. Is that going to get... Oh, it's going to get oppression. Wow, okay. Yeah, pretty good use of oppression. I was expecting the warning to come down, but oppression is a bit better there. The issue with oppression is if the set is a spy, then you can't really use your own spy, right? You can use it if the commandant attacks into it, because then that'll be in damage step. Knock is going to come down, though, on the first set there. It's going to be a recruiter. Okay. And that commandant's going to attack into a spy, so that will go through. Spy is going to deal 400 damage, and the spy will be able to bring something out of deck because this is the damage step, so oppression cannot be used in the damage step. And Run for Red has a bit of a choice here. They could go for Descendant. I don't hate Descendant because, you know, Bottom Strap Hold also cannot be used in damage step. So yeah, I like Descendant here, honestly. I guess they could go for Recruiter as well, their last Recruiter, but yeah, I think Descendant is the move. Main 2, Dumbtruck's got nothing else, so they're just going to pass back. And Run for Red is in a very interesting spot. I feel like you can tribute the spy, pop the commandant, maybe? That could be a move. Do they have enough to stell back? They do have enough to stell back if they want to stell. This is such an interesting match. Very, very tricky situation. Run for Red thinking here. Donking here. Giving it a thank. I don't know what I'd do. It really depends on the back row. We know there's one Solemn Warning, and Dumbtruck also knows there's a Solemn Warning. The Commandant can just beat over the Descendant if you don't have a way to deal with that. So I feel like what I would do probably is just Descendant, Tribute, Spy, pop Commandant, and then hope you've got enough to deal with whatever else Dumbtruck does here. That'd be my play, but it's tough to say. They're going to Tribute the Spy, and they're going to pop the Commandant indeed. And they're going to set one more, pass back. Very intense gameplay here. I would guess that the set is probably a Dimpriz. Stell, great card there to get back. Just keep using that Descendant there. Gonna add back a Spy. And are they going to add back a Descendant? Yeah, or Commandant? Yes. They're going to do that. Now, Descendant has to tribute a face-up monster. So it is a bit tricky summoning out something here. But I think, honestly, the move for Run for Red, you're summoning out Commandant and pop. Yes, you are, Luca Preti. Gravekeeper format with 3 Royal Tributes in it. I believe at least Royal Tribute is at 3. I can double-check that here real quick. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is indeed at 3. They're gonna set, which I'm not a fan of that. I'm actually not a huge fan of setting there, if I'm being honest. Tribute coming down, so that's gonna rip out the last monster in the hand there, unless there is a stopper for that. If I have a stopper and I'm Run for Red, I'm not going to stop it. I feel like it's not worth stopping that, but they are indeed going to let that go through, which I think makes sense there. Yeah, Royal Tribute is indeed at 3. I was pretty sure it was, but it is indeed, yeah. So now Run from Red is in an awkward spot. They have a set Spy, but they can't flip up that Spy or else they lose it to their own oppression, right? So this is why I felt like it might have been better just to summon out Commandant and try and pop with Descendant, but I guess like this does just maintain the stalemate, right? Because we know Run from Red has a Solemn Warning in the back row. Oppression is up. Another set card here. Can it be another Spy? I think it can. 1 Spy, 2 Spy, and then, yeah, it could be the 3rd Spy. Tribute is going to come down just to see what's in the hands. Looks like it's another warning, not set just to preserve back row space because you've only got 1 warning to use. So not really a point to setting both. I don't think there's a way to gain life points here unless you like can somehow get into a magical android, but I'm not really sure Gravekeeper deck play any tuners, so... MST here is going to come down on the oppression, so that way Run from Red can use their own spies. And it looks like that is probably what they're going to do here. They still do have a recruiter in the deck. And I will say, if you flip up Spy, bring out Recruiter, you can tribute the Recruiter with priority with Descendant, right? So that dodges around Bottomless Trap Hole. So it looks like they're just going to go for another Spy, though. Very interesting choice. I guess they want a defensive option here. They're also going to flip up a Recruiter there. So that explains why they did not do that. But if I was Run for Red, yeah, tributing the Spy instead of the Recruiter. I would probably tribute the Recruiter first, unless there's no more Gravekeepers in deck. But yeah, they're going to start popping that back row. Hit a Mirror Force there. I mean, that's the big risk, right? So, yeah, they're going to tribute Recruiter as well. And they're going to think about exactly what to pop. I would start popping monsters at this point, honestly. Unless you're afraid of TT. But, yeah, it looks like they are going to start popping those monsters. Popping a Spy, so that's the third Spy in grave. You don't have to worry about that. Which means that you can actually pop that back row as the last one if you want to, because I believe that Assailant should deal with everything else. No, they're just going to pass. I'm not sure I would do that, honestly. I would have just tributed the Spy, popped the monster, and then gotten in. Yes, if it's a Recruiter, that's annoying, right? But, like, you got to play through Recruiter at some point, right? And you got to also get in for damage. There goes an Assailant there. Yeah, looks like the Descendant is going to pop the set monster, which I think does make sense. This is lethal on board if there's nothing else to stop it, which there might not be, especially if there's some counter traps in the back row there. We know the two of the back row are Solemn Warning, so, it's not ideal, but Descendant going to attack in Dimpriz, and there's going to be a Dark Bribe. So that is going to do it there. Very intense games there from the Gravekeeper matchup. Not necessarily what I expected from that Gravekeeper mirror there. But, that's how it goes sometimes. Let's dive into Gerbil versus PJ because, again, these are the two non-Gravekeepers stacked. It looks like Gerbil was able to win game 2, and we're in the game 3 now. Ryo hitting the field first is very rough for Gerbil, but it looks like they got a Ryo of their own, so they could potentially just attack into that Ryo there if they want to. You could also just leave it as a big body, which it looks like they are going to do, which I think makes sense. You don't want to run like a Dimpriz or something. But it is kind of awkward because then PJ can run out of Glad Beast attack in, but they can do that anyways because you just Ryo into the Ryo, and then there you go. This also, if Gerbil's on Honest, which they might be, I don't know if they are or not, Honest could allow one Ryo to get over the other Ryo, so looks like the Ryos are going to crash here, or attempt to crash. Will that be fine? It looks like that will be fine, and then the Bestiary can hit in for 15. Question is, what do you get off that Bestiary? You could just get a Rediari, just to banish the Ryo. You could just get a big guy. Yeah, there might be Prada. I have noticed that there might be people playing Gravekeepers in this locals, which is weird. I wouldn't expect it. But, for some reason they're there. Some people, they got to get their kicks somehow. I guess they get their kicks by kicking down those graves and keeping them. Okay, it looks like they are just going to go for big guy. Laquari here coming out 2100. Setting one more passing back. I assume there's a Chariot somewhere in that back row, which will make things a bit tricky for Gerbil here. But I do think they did the right thing last turn. But sometimes even if you do the right thing, it's still very tough to get anywhere. Gerbil's got to think here, and it is a bit of a think. It's a bit tough with a potential Chariot in the back row. But also with that Laquari there, just being able to get out whatever other Glad Beast they want. It's tricky. Yeah. I don't know what I'd do if I'm Gerbil. I honestly don't know. I mean, I also don't know their hand. So that really caused me to not know what I'd do. But looks like they're going to give it a bit of a big think here. Big thonk. And that thonk will hopefully see them to the other side of that. Or they might not be able to do it. Either way, it's a very interesting game state here. We know a bit less about this game state, though, than we did with the last match we watched, which was actually Prada versus Dump Truck. Yeah, it looks like Artos lost to Icarus as well, so it seems like we got another Gravekeeper mirror match happening there. MST hitting that Dust Tornado, at least another back row gone, but obviously not ideal. Now, the thing is, Glad Beast can't really output a ton of pressure in terms of aggression. They sort of get by over the course of the game, just chipping in over time. So we'll have to see how this one goes. PJ probably can't kill this turn, but that Laquari coming down, that is a lot of damage coming in here. And that's going to be 3,900 total. They can't go into Darius here, which is one thing. So they can't go into like Heraclinos just to like tower off things, but still unfortunate. They're going to grab off of that Laquari a Rediari, just banish, I guess, T-King. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They're going to set one more, pass back. And Gerbil's got to have something here. I mean, I don't know what you have, but it's just looking rough. Dark Hole would be good if they have it. But it's a big if they have it, But yeah, Dark Hole would just wipe away those monsters, which would be very, very nice. They're giving it a thonk. They're giving it a think. I don't know what they have in hand, but might not be enough. They're facing down Lethal Gear, though, so they got to do something. MST on one of the back row. Is it going to be the new one or one of the older ones that have been set? It's going to be the new one, which is going to be a Solemn Judgment, so pretty good there. Dark Hole, yep, there we go. That is exactly what they needed there. MST the Solemn, Dark Hole the board, and now they can get cooking. They're going to go for Lone Fire here. That's going to get warninged. So, yep, that will get stopped. But no Glad Beasts on board. So I don't think that PJ can kill here. Yeah, I don't think they can kill here. So that is at least one good thing. If they don't get into another Glad Beast, then they also might have a dead War Chariot in the macro there. So yeah, I mean, Reborn would be pretty good here if Gerbil has it, but they might not have it. Yeah, no Reborn there. But, I mean, Gerbil, I think, is still in a decent spot. The issue is, again, Glad Beasts, they just need one Glad Beast. But it seems like they don't have what they need for the precise play that they want. But will they be able to do a play of some kind? Yeah, I mean, I don't think PJ can kill Gerbil here. So that is one good thing. I think it'll probably take 2 turns to do that. Proving Ground is the last back row, so that will get out a Glad Beast here. So maybe they can if the card in hand is Reborn. But there's a Laquari getting in for 18. Yeah. Gerbil said, chat, I cannot be killed here. I believe them. I believe them. And there it is, 1,800 in. And they are not dead yet. No Cowboy in this format. Yep. We got to trust the plan, trust the vision. Unclear what that last card in hand is. Might be a back row. They could go for a quest here if they want to get back like a Laquari just for follow-up on the following turn, which I think is a decent move. They could also go for Darius here if they just wanted to bring something back directly. Maybe they drew into Test Tiger. So you go like Darius, bring back like Rediari or Laquari, and then you Test Tiger that into the deck to go into something else. It looks like they are going to go for Darius here. Is there a Crow in hand? Maybe not. I don't think Glad Beast Esadari is out yet, so you can't go into that. But yeah, looks like it's just going to be bringing back a Laquari there, setting a back row, passing back. Now the Dark Hole is gone. So is that a War Chariot? Is it not? Either way, PJ is making it seem like it might be. And that sometimes is enough. But Gerbil's in a position where they might just need to play into it if they've got it, right? Looks like 1-for-1 is coming down here, pitching a Spore. So very good pitch there. That's going to bring out a level 1 monster from the deck. What's it going to bring out? Is it going to bring out a Glow Bolt? It will indeed do that. So now the question is, what's Gerbil going to do with it? Oh, they're going to set 1. Oof. Passing back. So this is lethal on board if that back row is nothing. But will that back row be nothing is the question. Looks like the Darius is going to attack in. Will that go through? What's going to happen here? Fiendish, okay. Fiendish on the Darius is going to be pretty good. So yeah, the Laquari actually can't tag out. All right. Yeah, I don't think it can tag out. The tag out's a cost, so like I'm not sure if it can tag out or not. But Fiendish will allow Dribble to survive one turn. Global is going to activate here, coming back. Milling a card, milling a Fiendish, not necessarily what you want to mill, but it's something. So that will be back there. And will it be enough? Debris, okay. Debris is going to bring back the Lone Fire there. Interesting that they went for this first. I would have maybe gone for Black Rose first and then done something, but I guess, yeah, I guess it's kind of tricky here. But by doing this, you can go into a 7 and then an 8 if you want to, which might be the move. Either way, there's no War Chariot here because Debris is 100% getting War Charioted there if there is one. So they're going to go into a 7 here. Are they going to Black Rose the board after going for the Global? Looks like they're going to go for Black Rose. No effect on the Black Rose because now they can go into an 8 if they want to. It looks like Bottomless Trap Hole is going to come in there and blow that up. So that's going to be a bit rough. But I mean, I think this makes sense overall. It's just kind of tough here. Do you go for Spore to just have another body? Probably not. If they got another Glad Beast, you're dead in a couple turns anyways, and you need the Spore for extension in the following turn. So, yeah, I think it's smart not to go for Spore here. But yeah, there goes the Glow Bulb into the Abyss. Yeah, I still think I would have gone Debris into Black Rose first, just because you don't know what the opponent's doing here. But yeah, I guess they wanted to test if there was like a War Chariot or something before committing the Debris. But yeah, 2 back row there. Still 2 back row. They got to work out. Spore is an option, so they might have to Spore here, or they could potentially just set something. I mean, maybe they've got a Raikou in hand or something. Reborn here on the Ryo. That's going to be pretty good. I assume, there's only one, right? Yeah. Transmigration Prophecy is going to shuffle that back into the deck. Probably the Spore too, right? Yeah. And there it goes. There it goes. Yeah, that's rough. Maybe they should have done Spore first and then gone Reborn. But yeah, that's tricky. Yep, that's going to be the end of the game. It's tough to play around Transmigration Prophecy. I mean, that's not something you typically play around there. There was a Boku anyways, so but I guess the Ryo does still buy time because so if they'd gone like Transmigration Prophecy and not known about the Ryo, then maybe that. But I mean, either way, they're kind of yeah, it's just kind of a tricky spot to be in. Either way, I think if they had done it in the reverse order, activating Spore before going Ryo, then they could have played around it better. But like, you don't know the Transmigration Prophecy is going to be in the back row there, and also Ryo on its own lets you use the Spore later on in the game. So I don't know, it's a bit tricky. Anywho, let's dive back into some good old GK mirrors here. Into every other game in this locals. But yeah. Yeah, Gerbil, I honestly was not expecting Transmigration either. It makes sense in hindsight because it's like, okay, yeah, it does hit like Glow Bulb, it does stop like Spore, all that stuff. But it's a bit tricky to do there. Hello, Rack Rats. Welcome to GOAT and welcome to DB. I hope you enjoy your time here. But yeah, GOAT's a really fun format. Just like big community, great games. Really captures the classic feel of the game from that time period. But yeah, that was a tough matchup for you as well, Gerbil. So yeah, it was tricky. But yeah, I think Chariot was, well, I guess they could have drawn Chariot for turn, so that's also tricky there. But yeah, it's just rough. It is rough. Speaking of rough, this looks like a pretty rough game. Oppression is up. Run for Run's back row entirely clogged. Icarus is the one who has to do something here, though, because if the game does go to deck out, which that would be wild, but if it does reach that point, then they're the one that loses because they've got 20 cards. Run for Red has 23. So I don't know. I mean, this is an interesting spot to be in. Run for Red has no real incentive to do anything here. They can just wait it out. Spy getting flipped up. Will that get oppressioned? Probably. Yep, there's the oppression. Paying 8. Is there an MST? TT is coming down. That will still work because this is negating the effect, right? It's not negating the summon. So TT will blow up the board. Recruiter will get a search here, though. Warning is still live for Run from Red. They've not used a warning yet as well. But yeah, I mean, deck out is always a wild win con when it happens, but it does happen. So yeah, and GK is a matchup where like it can happen more often than not. Royal Tribute here coming down. I wonder why they didn't set the oppression first. Maybe they just don't want to commit the oppression at all. But yeah, that does hit 2 monsters from the hand. That's kind of rough there. Run for Red is a lot lower on life points here too. So it's quite tricky. And that oppression might come back to bite them here. Yeah, I do wonder why Icarus did not set the oppression before going for the tribute. Maybe they figure this is going to grind on for a bit longer. I don't want to get my back row clogged, you know. But a Descendant's going to come down here, and that's going to be fine by Icarus. Is that Descendant going to attack in? No, it will not. It will not attack in. Not attacking into the Dim Priz. No Dim Prizes have been used up by Icarus yet. So it's very likely that some of that back row is battle dependent. But anyways, a set monster is going to be there. But yeah, I mean, Gravekeepers is very cool, right? Especially in this era, I think the deck is very cool. It's oppressive, don't get me wrong, but it is very cool. So yeah, looks like Stella's going to add back a Descendant and an Assailant here. So yeah, I guess they're not playing for deck out. But yeah, there's the Recruiter, or not Descendant, Recruiter and Assailant. Yeah, so Recruiter gets tributed. Potentially pop the back row, potentially pop the monster. I might pop, well, it's tricky because Recruiter is still in the picture. So yeah, you probably pop the back row. It's tough to say. Worst case scenario, you do have an oppression here to, you know, just stop the spy from flipping up if it's spy. But this is just like kind of a rough position. Yeah, I don't know what you do for your run. Oh, it looks like lag. So there's not even a decision to be made there. So yeah. Lag time. Gotta love the lag. But yeah, warning is going to stop that recruiter from coming down. So no search will be had. And I feel like you don't attack into the set card. It could be spy. If it's spy, you can't use oppression and damage step. So you want to save it for that. Anyways, back to Icarus here. What is Icarus going to do? I feel like Icarus is in a spot where they can just sort of wait a little bit. But they might have more active plays to make here. I don't know. Record says, I despise Gravekeepers. Reminds me I'll die one day. Also annoying cards. Yeah, I mean, everything reminds me that I'm going to die one day. I think it's just a part of life to recognize the mortality of it all. And just make sure that, you know, acknowledging that mortality, that, you know, you try and live the life that you got to your fullest, you know. That's at least how I view it. So Assailant is going to come down here. Is that going to be fine? It looks like it will indeed be fine. Is there going to be... Yep, there's going to be a prio effect there. Popping the... I don't know if they're going to target the Recruiter or not. I guess they must have clicked it or something. Yeah, Memento Mori. Remember that you will die, yeah. But yeah, they're going to add a Commandant there. Tack in with the Descendant. I'm not sure I like this course of action on Run for Red's part. I would have just tributed the Assailant, popped a back row, and just left things as they are. But now you're just opening yourself up to a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that course of play. I guess you've got the argument that you've got to like get in somehow eventually, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's kind of rough. Bottomless Trap Hole is going to come down there, getting rid of that Commandant. Icarus setting 1, passing back, implying there might be another monster in hand. Run for red, passing back. Recruiter coming down. Looks like that will be fine. If this connects, then there will be no more oppression from Run from Red. Looks like Dimpriz is going to get activated. Book of Moon is going to get chained to that. Dimpriz is going to get activated in response to that. And there goes a Recruiter. That's 1 Recruiter, 2 Recruiter down from the deck. But Stell could still get back some more Recruiters later on in the game. Descendant coming down. Will that be fine? That will be fine. Descendant is going to hit in there, playing into the battle traps if they've got them, but that's a big if, and it looks like they do not have them, or at least they don't want to use them on that Descendant. Another back row getting set from Run from there, passing back. Another back row getting set from Icaros here, passing back. Oh, man. Stell is going to be really good here. Yeah. Record says, I hate this convoluted mess of a game that I love. Honestly, I feel that. I feel like most Yu-Gi-Oh players feel that at some point. Solemn Judgment being the last back row there. Compulse is going to bounce back that Descendant to hand. Obviously not ideal, though, because Descendant can just come back down right there. And, yeah, Solemn Warning is shut off because of the Solemn Judgment, and that's going to be the end of the game. So Run for Red taking that one, and that's going to be a bit of a rough one there. Yeah, tricky stuff. Very, very tricky thing. Yeah, mood. Yeah, it's a mood, right? The convoluted mess of a game, but we gotta love it anyways, you know. Yeah, I've been having time to actually. Yeah, that was just game 1. Just game 1. Gravekeeper Mirror. Am I right? This is gonna be wild. I mean, the nice thing is that the finals is going to be versus. Oh no, it's Wagamuffin versus PJ. I forgot the Wagamuffin was in it. Let's dive into that game. See what Wagamuffin's playing. PJ versus Wagamuffin there. So looks like Wagamuffin won game 1. PJ going to start off with a Darius. 2 sets, 3 sets. Is there going to be 4? 4 sets? 5 sets? 5 sets? No, just 4. Damn. Okay, diving back in to Wagamuffin here. What are the odds of the Gravekeepers? What are the odds of Gravekeepers? Sound off in chat if you think it's Gravekeepers. I hope it's not Grave. I want some variety. I want to see what happens. Gerbil's a believer that it won't be. I wish I could believe with you, but we got to see here. Okay, it's not. It's plants again. Okay, cool. So, yeah. Warning on the Lone Fire is going to be kind of rough, though. But, yeah. Gotta love some plants. I'm glad that Gerbil isn't the only one on plants, because I think plants is a very cool deck. I think there are some things you can do with it. Necro Valley does hurt it quite a bit. But, yeah. I mean, the Lone Fire is dead, but, you know, they're not out of it, right? I was saying this in the game between you and PJ, but one of the things about facing off against Gladbeast is Gladbeast can rarely kill you quickly, right? They don't have too much extension to actually get into those lethal positions, especially from 8,000. So if you do like lose the Lone Fire against them, right, you do still have time to do other stuff, which we saw in game 3 between Gerbil and PJ earlier. Of course, Gladbeast did ultimately prevail there, but there was a period of time where like Gerbil was able to stall out and get into a relatively okay position until the Transformation Prophecy at the end. But Bestiari can be kind of rough here if they want to go for a Geyserus, and it looks like they are going to go for the Giz. So they're going to send back that Bestiari and the Darius, go into Geyserus here, run into a Warning maybe. What have plans ever done for us, IRL? Good question, Ratgrass. The only thing I can think of is providing us with some sweet, sweet oxygen and some nice greenery, but yeah, it's not really much when you think about it. It looks like PJ is going to, I assume, pop both back row. But it looks like TT is going to stop the Geyserus from sticking around on field. Or will it? There might be a back row here. Hold up. PJ thinking. Trap Stun is going to come down. That's going to be quite good. Unless it gets negated, which it might. But if the other back row cannot deal with the Geyserus, then that Trap Stun is going to run. Will this go through? Effect Veiler. Wow. Okay. Yeah. You can indeed do this. So, yep. So it's not killing the Geysers, but at least negating the effect. It is only on field of that face-up monster. So I believe that the Geysers, because it does shuffle back for cost, I believe it will still be able to tag out here. I could be wrong. I might be wrong. I've gotten rulings wrong in the past, but I believe because effectively it only applies on field, we'll be fine there. PJ choosing not to attack, which is interesting because the traps were shut off. So I can't think of what would be in the back row there that would make you not want to attack. But maybe it's something. I don't know. Like book, you just run that into, right? Because they could just book normally. Foolish coming down here. So Foolish is going to get a mill. What are they going to mill? They're going to mill a Dandy. So Dandy gets 2 tokens unless there's War Chariot there. Which there might be. Now, as a note, the tokens cannot be tributed this turn for Tribute Summon. So you don't need to worry about a Titanium coming down here. So you could also let that go through if you've got a War Chariot, right? But also they might not have a War Chariot because they could have War Chariot the Effect Veiler and stopped that from happening. So, and then got the tag off request, got Mac the War Chariot, so it would have been fine, right? Looks like they're just going to set 2 pass back. So, yeah, unfortunately for Wagamon, it seems like they don't really have any other monsters. So they can't even like capitalize on the lack of War Chariot here, if that is indeed the case, which I believe is the case. I feel like otherwise, you War Chariot the Effect Veiler, attack in, bring out a quest, maybe Murmillo if they have like, Gorge or something. But yeah, it looks like PJ is going to set there, pass back. What's Wagamuffin going to do? They're just going to pass back. Oof. Geyser's not tagging out here, which is interesting. They might be fearing like Warning or something like that, which is a legitimate fear. Looks like a Laquari is going to come down here. No TT, so you don't need to worry about that. And it looks like they're going to attack into that token. Will there be a Mirror Force? Nope. Token gone. Geyser's attacking in at 424. So not looking too hot here. Yeah, tagging out that Geyserus into the deck. Yeah, damn. I mean, the chat's right. Dandy is a silly looking card. But I love it. It's great. It is very, very good. And it's very good in a way that like is not immediately evident if like you're new to the game potentially. And I like cards like that, But yeah, what will PJ get? They're going to get a Ready Ari here. Try and banish probably the Dandy. Just make a Debris play a bit worse. Now, Debris can still get into Lone Fire. So there's still that. But it is a bit worse here than it would be otherwise. So let's see what Wag is able to do here. If they're able to come back against those 4 back row there. No heavy this format, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I think this was a format without heavy, which is kind of interesting because heavy had been a staple of the game up until this point. Love it or hate it, it was around to sort of keep a check on certain decks that played a bit too much back row. But yeah, heavy is indeed banned. So yeah, no heavy to stop those back row there. Bottom stopping Sidra, but the Ryo is still able to come down. Of course, Boku can stop it from being able to get rid of the Ready Ari. And Ready Ari can tag out into what is likely to be a Murmillo. Just to pop that Ryo, get in for 800. That's if PJ's playing Murmillo. It looks like they are indeed playing Murmillo, which I understand why you'd cut it potentially. But Murmillo is one of the best cards in Glads. So I think you got to play Murmillo. I'm setting 1, passing back. Let's see what PJ does here. I'm also low on life, down to 3,600, which is a bit of a scary spot to be in. Yeah, I mean, I think that heavy being gone, I need to play the format to find out, but I think it will ultimately be a good thing and not a bad thing. That's just my take on it. But I do like things like heavy being gone. I'm not sure about Dark Hole and Reborn being back, but I think Heavy being gone is fine. That Tornado is going to hit one of the back row, and that will indeed be okay. So yeah, War Chariot gone, but obviously they can just request that back. And Avarice gone as well. How many Monster Engraved? Just 3, so Avarice wasn't likely to be live, but it still hurts. Let's see. They're going to bring back probably a quest, and yeah, probably just okay, Laquari and then a quest for sure. Oh, okay, there's a quest and Rediari. So it looks like not Laquari. So yeah, I mean this makes sense to me. Record as I refuse to use a good card I don't like the look of. I main Crystal Beast and Armed Dragon for a reason. Good point. Yeah, sometimes the silliness of a card can distract you, looks like PJ is going to win that game 2, and they're going to go into a game 3. So we'll have to see how that goes later. But meanwhile, we got game 2 of Icaros versus Run from Red. And, I mean, what can I say? We got the Gravekeeper Mirror yet again. Yep, the Gravekeeper Mirror do be mirroring. MST on a Mirror Force, very good hit. Setting 1, passing back. Setting 1, passing back. Run for Red might be going for the deck out thing. I'll have to see. Yeah, I do feel like card aesthetics do factor into deck building sometimes for me. Like, generally, I value, like, what the deck actually does gameplay-wise in terms of whether I like it or not. But sometimes it's just, like, a deck where it's just, like, man, the aesthetics on this are so good. Madolche is a good example. I love Madolches. They're not the best in most formats, but they're very fun. They're very cute. Like, I just love them. Book of Moon on the Commandant is very interesting here. And they're going to flip up that Commandant TT the board, it looks like. Or attempt to, at least. That will be fine. TT coming down. Going to blow up a Spy and a Spy. So, very good TT there. And a Commandant's going to come down. That's going to get bottomless, or at least an attempt of bottomless is going to happen. But a Book of Moon will flip that back down. So, yeah, Run for Red in a pretty tough spot here. That TT on the double Spy was pretty brutal. I'm not sure what they really can do here. The good thing is they know TT's gone. So if they want to run out like a Commandant of their own into the set, then they could do that. But no battle traps have been used up. There could be 2 battle traps there in the back row. So, Dribble says, by far the worst thing is whenever the art is great, but the cards are awful. Tunes being one of the best examples of this. Yeah. That's just the disappointment. Like, whenever the flavor on an archetype is so good, you're like, oh, I really want to make this thing work. And then the cards are just absolutely garbage. Like, terrible. Then it just hurts so much. I will say, though, that I think Konami sometimes designs things like that purposely. Because they're like, oh, these cards are terrible. But people are going to play them because, they look cool, right? So, it basically allows them to print pack filler archetypes that won't warp the meta for free, kind of. Which I think does intentionally happen sometimes, but it is kind of sad when it happens like that. Oh, the Commandant hitting, or not the Commandant, the Descendant hitting the Mirror Force. Very good hit there. Is Run for Red going to attack in, or are they going to leave things as they are? Because they do have this Recruiter chain going. Looks like they're going to leave things as they are. How many Commandants have been used up? 1 Commandant engraved, 1 banished. So it's not the most likely thing they can get into another. But Regret says, arguing with my allegation of the convoluted nature of the game, honestly, I want to make fun of you for being wrong. I mean, honestly, I don't hate if someone wants to make fun of me for things. That's sort of the name of the game when you get into the YouTube biz or the streaming biz in general. Yeah, and I am often wrong, so I will not dispute that. Also, people can have different opinions on this sort of thing. I mean, if you come from Modern, right, you look at this version of the game, and you're like, oh, what's the big deal? This is fine. But yeah, here comes the Descendant effect. So you tribute the Descendant that you're summoning, for sure. Yep, because if it's bottomless, you get around that. Popping the monster, could be a Recruiter, but it looks like it's Spy. And then, do you even attack in with the other Descendant? Maybe. 2-turn clock. I could see it. Looks like they're going to attack in there, indeed. Dimpriz is going to come down, though. So, Compulse, though. So that explains why they were comfortable doing that. But they got to hope that last back row is something that can protect them here. If Igros does draw a monster, looks like they don't draw a monster, though. So now going back to run for red. Duality coming down. Very good duality there. Warning, warning, knock. Well, either a card you can play around or 2 cards you can't use. So it looks like they're going to take the card you can play around. Makes sense to me. At least the duality got those warnings shuffled into the deck. So hopefully you're not drawing them in the coming turns. But there goes the Descendant coming down. Bottomless is going to be used here. And that looks like it will be successful. So now does Run for Red have a way to stop that Assailant coming in? Looks like TT is going to blow up the board. It looks like that will indeed go through. Passing back to Run from Red here. They're going to set the new one. Honestly, I would shuffle up the hand, set it. Maybe Icaros thinks it's a bluff. And just sort of loses information on where the knock is. Because right now, we still don't have the knocks in hand. So it's kind of rough. Gerbil says, ironically, the modern game has moments where it feels simpler than these older formats. Specifically when decks are solved to the point where you know you always use your Ash on X and so on. And listen, I've been saying this throughout the channel's history. I think the game, people often simplify it to like, oh, modern's so fast, retro's so slow. But the game has like ebbs and flows, right? Sometimes you get a really fast format. Sometimes you get much slower formats. And I feel like it's something that's not really acknowledged as much. But you can have like a modern format that is very, very grindy. Oh, that might do it. Yeah, I think that does it, right? Yep, there we go. Oh, grindy game. But yeah, you can have a modern format that's very grindy, even if the cards like feel like, you know, full caliber weaponry. It could be still very, very slow and grindy and paced back and forth. And yeah, I think that's pretty fun. So yeah. Record says, as a furry, I am often made fun of. Oh wait, I forget I wrote that. Okay, forgotten already. But yeah. The internet's filled with people getting made fun of, unfortunately. But, you know, we live in that time, I guess. Reborn on the Titanium. Looks like they were trying to avoid something like a, probably like a warning. So they ran into a Dimpers with one of their other monsters, and then Reborn Titanium there. But yeah, it looks like they're going to start attacking into that set monster. They better hope it's a Raikou. A Dandy. Ooh. Okay, actually, well, no, because then, yeah, this is not good for Wagamuffin here. Unless they have another Veiler. But you can't use that in battle phase, so. Yeah. I don't know why the Ryo didn't attack into the token. That seems like a misplay. That seems like a very big misplay. Is there... I'm very perplexed. 3 attacks means that you clear the tokens and the Dandy. I'm just confused. But Red Ayari there. Targeting monster and grave. Okay. Like, is there something I'm missing? Like, can the Ryo not attack? Saving the token for GB on the next turn? I guess, but like, you can't Merm the Titanial now, right? Because then they just tribute the token anyways. So either way, there's not going to be a token next turn. So I'm just very confused. Because like, you're in a much better spot if there's just no monster on field, right? You do have a vulnerable Merm and maybe a vulnerable Red Ayari, but like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, rough one. That's rough. You know, I don't know. Maybe just slip their head, slip their mind. I don't know. Whatever it is. Spore's gonna come down. Interesting. Okay, Econ there, taking control of the Ryo. Okay, yeah, that's very good. Banish Dandy, go into an 8, and then yeah, that's the end of the game. Yeah, I think that was. I mean, I will say. With this play, they're probably back in it, right? So, Wegman probably wins this one either way. But it was just an interesting last turn. But yeah, because Merm will be gone, so it'd just be Red Ayari, Ryo. So you take control of the Ryo, attack over the Red Ayari with whatever 8 you go into, and then you're just like, in a winning position anyways. So, either way, Wagman wins that one. But it's just kind of an interesting turn of events there. Anyways, let's dive back into the quickest match we've got. Icaros versus Run for Red. Let's go. We got GK Mirror round 3. And whoever wins this will be facing off against Plants in the finals. Making a mistake in a Yu-Gi-Oh name, never done that. Yep, never. Never, 100% never. Definitely not in my most recent video. Definitely not in the next video that I'm going to be releasing probably tomorrow. I make mistakes all the time, so when I am pointing out mistakes that happen on stream, know that, like, one, it's much easier for me to commentate than to play. So, this is not sort of me trying to dog on a player for being mad or anything like that. I'm just pointing out this sort of stuff because it's good to keep in mind. And, for people out there, who's wondering about playing these decks in these formats and things like that, hopefully it can help them with that. But yeah, just know that I'm never doing it out of a place of malice or never out of a place of like superiority or anything like that. Just out of a place of noticing, right? And I'm sure there are many misplays that I don't notice. I'm sure that there are plenty of plays that I think are misplays at first and then turn out to be the correct play, right? I've done that multiple times on stream where I've been like, why did they do that? Like, this doesn't make any sense and stuff. And then it's like, oh, wait, they did it because of this, But yeah, warning there on the Spy. Things are not looking good for Icaros this game, I will be honest. Seems like it's not going too hot here. I wonder if these players are playing Necro Valley in the deck. I personally, honestly, Graveyard Mirror, siding out Tribute, siding out Necro Valley might be the move. Because the Gravekeeper deck is not stopped by Necro Valley in any way. You're just basically increasing or decreasing the clock on either you or your opponent. And the clock should not matter as much as just grinding out the opponent, right? So if the opponent had Necro Valley's or Tributes in, that's one card that you can't do anything with, Yeah, I mean, PJ, I mentioned on stream that, like, if you attacked in the token then mermed, then you would have cleared the Titanial, but the next turn with the Spore and the Econ, you were dead anyways, so, like, it's a wash either way there. But yeah, it's just a tough position to be in, which is unfortunate, but you repped Glads well, brought it to the semifinals, and yeah, very, very cool deck, especially for a format like this without heavy. It can really rely on its backer a lot more, so kudos to you for showing off that side of it. But wow, it looks like this one went a bit quicker than the others, but it seemed like Icaros just did not have the cards they needed to survive it. But yeah, there we go. So that is Gravekeepers versus Gravekeepers. Out of all the Gravekeepers deck, the one that rose to the top was Run from Red, aka Prada G. And yeah, that's going to be there. Let's see. Are they hosting already? They might not be hosting yet. But we've got a finals between Wagamuffin on Plants and Run from Red on Gravekeepers. So let's make a poll here, just seeing what people think will win. Who will win? Will it be Gravekeepers, the sort of boogeyman of the format, or will it be Plants? We're going to start that poll and see what happens. This will be a bit of an interesting one. Yeah. It's funny how the bracket just segregated into Gravekeepers and then non-Gravekeepers. Let's see. Are they... I'm not sure they're... Let's see. Okay, it looks like they're hosting now. But yeah, like this whole side of the bracket, all Gravekeepers. This whole side, no Gravekeepers, which is quite funny. It's just how it worked out sometimes. Plants will win because they keep graves, not flowers. True. You place plants at grave sites, so you think that would win over the Gravekeepers, but tough to say. Yeah, PJ rooting for Wagamuffin as well because plants are the fun deck. Gravekeepers are fun in their own way, okay? As a grind game enjoyer, I can enjoy a Gravekeeper grind, but yeah, it definitely is. Watching some of those games, it definitely felt like the type of stall mill of the 5Ds era, right? Where it's just like a deck that is very, very good, right? It can be won against, probably, given whatever deck you play. But it's probably the best deck in the format. And it's like, it's going to be a grind if you get into a mirror. It might even be a grind if you're not in the mirror. But we'll have to see. Yeah, the mirror is very interesting. for Gravekeepers. So at least there's that. Okay. Yeah, Royal Tribute is annoying. That's sort of the unfun thing that Gravekeepers do. And I think that decks like Plant Synchro sort of can safeguard against that a little bit because they do have cards that they want to get in Grave, like Dandy, Spore, Glowpole. Although Spore not being able to activate on a Necro Valley is pretty brutal because Spore has to banish a card from Grave, which I don't think it can do under Necro. But, oh, speak of the devil, there's the Tribute. Always a sad sign when the Tribute gets added to hand instead of the Commandant for Necro Valley. So that means they must have access to the Necro Valley already. I would assume they've got Necro in hand and they're not just holding a Commandant before going for Duality. Because if you have Commandant in hand, you go Commandant to get the Necro Valley, and then you go Duality. So then you have more likelihood of hitting the Tribute. So I'm assuming that Necro Valley is in hand. We might have a bit of lag here, which is a bit unfortunate. But, yep, there's Commandant. Oh, wait, they did have Commandant. Interesting. I would have gone Commandant there instead. But yeah, Dandy is getting pitched, so Dandy will indeed use up its effect to put 2 tokens there. Oh, I just noticed Run for that said good luck, but no fun. Looks like it's going to be Charge of Light Brigade, Pot of Avarice, and Tribute Pot of Avarice dead under the Necro Valley. Dandelion at least getting 2 tokens there. But there's no Lightsworn Tuner that you can charge into. So Beaver Warrior archetype when? I mean, honestly, I'm surprised they haven't made one yet, given how much Konami likes to dig deep into the well of like old DM stuff. But yeah, there goes 3 cards off the top and searching for a level 4 lower Lightsworn. Going for Lila. So Lila can actually pop the Necro if it manages to stick. Big if though. That's the tricky thing. I mean, you got to go for it either way, and that's going to get bottomless. So yeah, it is banished instead of going to Grave. So Avarice is not live. Yeah, there it goes. Spy getting flipped up, so you can go into Descendant there. This is probably going to get TT'd, so you might even go into Recruiter. Yep, Recruiter is going to go there. And why might we just leave it? Nope, they're not going to leave it. They're just going to pop the board. I might have just left it, honestly, because they get to search with that. They can search for another Recruiter, bring out Recruiter, attack in, and you lose. I mean, you're losing your tokens anyways, so I guess it does clear Spy. That's kind of awkward. Yeah, Run Fred setting 1, passing back. We know about Pot of Avarice in hand. We don't know the other 2 cards. Looks like they're just going to set 1 pass back. Might be a Raikou. Raikou Pop Necro is going to be pretty good here, if that is indeed the case. And it looks like it is indeed the Raikou. So Raikou Pop Necro. You just got to hope the opponent does not have another Commandant or another Necro there. Milling 3. Now Avarice is live. Oh, there's the Commandant. Speak of the devil. Yep. Yeah, Necro Valley. There it is. Okay. So we still don't Pot in hand. We don't know the other cards. But yeah, that is rough. Another set could be another Raikou to pop that Necro. Will there be another Commandant? That's the question. It looks like it is a Debris Dragon, which will wall up here. So at least it is a 2K body. So yeah, so it's something. You could also Synchro with it too. Like if you just have a level 3 or something like that. Like Synchro into Black Rose would be pretty good here. If you can swing it. Minecon. Yeah, that will sink into Black Rose. Yeah. So Minecon on the Recruiter. If Runfred does have a stop for this, they kind of have to do it now or else they're going to lose everything. I guess you could do the stop on the Summon of Black Rose as well. That would work too. But yeah, that's tough. You won't get a Surge off Recruiter here, though, if it goes to Grave, because it says if this card you control is sent to the graveyard, which is actually a big deal. So I think if you got a stopper here, you got to use it on the Minecon. That at least is where I would use it. Book is going to book down the Debris Dragon. So I guess there's a TT back there, but yeah, you don't get the Recruiter search though, so that's kind of rough. Looks like Wagmuffin has another set though. They're going to pass back. Run for Red does have another set of their own. But this is a good position for Wagamuffin to be in. Now, Stell could cause problems. Well, recruiters are all gone, so it's really just Stell or Spy that causes the problems here. Debris Dragon is coming down in attack mode here. It's going to be fine from Run for Red. Flipping up a Dandy. Uh-oh. It's going to be a bit rough for Run for Red if they don't have a way to stop Black Rose play here. Black Rose coming down, attempting to use it Defect, and that will indeed pop everything. Oof. Okay, now Avarice is live. I assume they're going to use Avarice while they got it. Because, yeah, Necro Valley could come down at any point. This is indeed the finals of the local Son of El Chapo, so very exciting stuff. Yeah, we've got a fair amount of votes in the poll. So we've got 4 votes for Plants, 1 vote for Gravekeepers. But yeah, that average is going to be pretty good. Putting back the Black Rose as well, I guess they do want these cards engraved for a bit of variety. You can go Debris for like Raikou if you want to go into Iron Chain. Not sure why you do that, but it's an option at least. Looks like Run for Red is going to set 1, pass back. Why am I even thinking here? They're going to bring out a Debris. Are they going to go for Dandy probably? Yep. Looks like they're going to go for a Dandy. And then go into a 7 most likely. Or an 8. Actually, an 8 would be pretty good here. Just go into like maybe Thought Ruler. Either Thought Ruler or Stardust, I think. Scrap Dragon, that works too. It's just kind of awkward because like I guess, I mean, this does pop the card, but if the card's like bottomless or something, or Compulse, yeah, so they're going to Compulse back to Scrap. Yeah, that's why I think of like Thought Ruler, because it loses to bottomless, but it doesn't lose to Dimpriz, doesn't lose to Compulse, doesn't lose to like Book, things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I see the argument for going Scrap, just dealing with it there, right when it comes down. Glow Up Bulb here. So go into Formula. It would be my guess. Yep, there's the Formula. Formula gets a draw in. Digging for whatever else they might find. They could go for Armory Arm, then mill for Glow Up Bulb, bring that back, go for a 5. Or they could just try and hit him with Armory Arm too. That works too. But yeah, a bit of an interesting spot to be in. Oh, Ghost Rare Stars looks nice. Yeah, it looks good. Milling for Glow Up. Bring that back. I guess they don't want to use up the Armory Arm just yet. Oh, they're just going to go into another Formula. I guess that works too. It's kind of awkward because there's no level 3 Synchro, if I am remembering correctly. So they can't go into a 3 here. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, honestly, Ghost Rares and Synchros are just, oh, chef's kiss. They're so good. Which 5 do you send back here? There are 8 engraved. I would leave the Dandies and maybe a Raikou, maybe a Lone Fire. Okay, looks like they're going to target Card, Debris, Lone Fire, Effect Veiler, and Raikou. Yeah, you want Veiler back in deck for sure because, I mean, it stops Spy, really. That's the big thing it stops. It stops Descendant as well. So there's that nice feature of it. But yeah, just sending everything back in there. Shuffling up, drawing 2. But they've already normal summoned this turn, so they can't really do much more with these formulas here. And it's going to pass back. So if Run for Net has a way to deal with them, looks like they do not though. So yeah, just going to sit around, not really doing anything, I guess. But Wyman has 6 cards in hand, so they're going to bring out a Ryo. Will that be fine? Run for Net thinking here. I understand why they're thinking about it. Yeah, Bottomless is going to come down. Unfortunately, you can't use Formula Synchron's Quick Effect on your turn. Otherwise, that'd be busted. But yeah, Ryo on field is actually kind of interesting. They could have left it that way and just attacked in. And then, yep, another Ryo coming down. That's going to get Warning to this time. So 2k damage going in either way. Passing back. Passing back again. How many Necros are left? There's 1 Necro left in deck. 1 Commandant left in deck as well, if they can get to it. But with this many cards in hand, Wagman might not care. Card River coming down. Is that going to mill? Looks like it is indeed going to mill here. Milling 3, milling Lone Fire, Chaos Sork, and Raikou. Probably didn't want to lose the Sork there, but there were no Darks in grave, I guess. But yeah, 1900 poking in with the card trooper there. And the issue here is that you can quick synchro into a 6 or a 5. I guess you quick synchro into a 5, and then you quick synchro again into a 7. So if you want to go into Black Rose, wipe the board that way, then you could do that. But Descendant is coming down here. That could potentially attack over the card trooper. But this will probably bait out a Formula Synchron effect. It's not going to bait out a Formula Synchron effect. Very interesting. I guess they want the draw here. That's fascinating. I would have guessed that they would have gone Quick Effect and Formula Synchron. Oh, they got a track. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, yeah. That all checked out. Radgrass says, there's too much. This is why Vanguard is better. Nah, I love too much. I am a maximalist when it comes to most things. I like more things to be there. More details, more things you can do. Give me all the feature creep you want. I'm a big maximalist. So I like that sort of thing. Warning being used on the Triad, you kind of have to. That explains why they did not quick sync out with the formula. 1-for-1 is going to be used here. So pitching a Lone Fire. Lone Fire, very interesting pitch. Probably for Spore, I would assume. So Spore into another Formula Synchron, and then you can bring it back, I guess. But you get a draw off this, so that's something. There's the Spore. Also, no normal summon yet, so there could also be a normal summon here to do something else. But yeah, looks like that is going to be fine. And then there they go, sync off in, or tribute off into a Titanial. Oh boy, yeah. Titanial is going to get solemned. So probably a good solemn there from Run for Red. I thought it was probably a good solemn. Yeah, that's probably not what I wanted to see there. Yeah, they're just going to set one pass. I mean, they got 3 back row here. That's pretty good. Stell is going to come into the picture now. If Stell gets back Commandant pitch for Necro. Necro is going to be a bit awkward here because you can't use that Spore. Can't use any of your other graveyard reliant stuff like Debris, which we know there are Debris back in deck now. Looks like they're not going to go for... Oh! Crow is pretty good. I'm pretty sure Crow interrupts Stell because it says add those targets. So I believe if it can't add both, I believe that they don't go to hand. That is, I'm pretty sure, the ruling. Yeah, they're going to get rid of that Recruiter. Yeah, Crow, a good last card in hand, I will say. And Run for it, passing back to Wagamuffin here. Now, Wagamuffin still needs a monster. Hey, Debris Dragon is a monster. So this will be able to breed back something, and Run for it's going to scoop it up. They're like, yeah, I'm cooked. I can't do anything there. It is what it is. Yeah, because they can just go scrap, pop, attack in, you know, or they could just go Stardust if they want, or Thought Ruler, or whatever they want to do over there, really. I guess no, they would have had to, yeah, because they go Iron Chain with a Raikou, and then they go into an 8, and then, yeah, that's all she wrote there. You could also just go, like, bring back a 3, sync off with the formula and the thing, and then sync off again, and, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of rough. Yeah, I mean, Gerbil said, I didn't think keeping Crow in against Graveyard would be the move, but devastating play, and it was indeed. I guess the idea is if they've got Necro Valley up, you're not able to do anything either way, so you might as well play cards that interact with the graveyard as long as you have enough ways to deal with the Necro as well. But it is definitely a gutsy move, and it paid off for them there. Now, to be fair, that's also pre-siding, so, you know, maybe those come out in the side decking process, but it did allow Wagman to just take that game pretty handily. Yeah, brutal stuff. But I'm very curious how the siding process will go. Run for Red is in a position where they are going first on Gravekeepers, so first turn tribute play could happen again, But Wagamama was able to claw their way back from that first turn tribute play here. And also game 2 and potentially 3, they might have left cards that rely on the graveyard. Like they might not even have Pot of Avarice in the deck because it's just like a dead card if you can't clear the Necro Valley. So we'll have to see how things go. You never want to start that way on Run for Red's side, unless there's going to be a Necro Valley tribute. Oh, never mind. Yep, you do want to start that way. So yeah, tribute Necro. Looks like there's going to be a Reborn, Dead Reborn, MST, popping the Necro. Looks like Pot is still in the deck, and then a Mirror Force is the last back row. So MST dealing with the Necro is very nice. What are my thoughts about Genesis? I like Genesis a lot. I think it's very good that is around. I think that it breathes a bit of fresh air into the game. And yeah, I'm just happy it's around. I mean, I've always been the sort of guy to say like a rising tide raises all shifts, right? So what I mean by that is like the success of one alternate format helps out all alternate formats, right? Because if people play Genesis, then they cook with that. They're like, man, I like this game a lot. I like Yu-Gi-Oh! When maybe they were burnt out on Modern or something. And then they're like, I want to play more Yu-Gi-Oh! But I don't want to go back to the standard version of the format. I want to try something else, you know? And maybe they dive full head into it, you know? I think it's just a good sign, I think, of the times that Konami is willing to try out alternate formats and stuff. MST on the Necro Valley there. So that did clear it. Reborn here is going to try and bring back that Ryo run over the Descendant here. Will that work? Looks like the Reborn will be active, but Bottomless Trap Hole might clean up that Ryo if there is a Bottomless in the back row. Will there be or will there not be? That is the question. Okay, it looks like there will not be, so that Ryo's going to attack in, but that's going to run into a Dimbriz there. So, kind of rough stuff for Wagamuffin, but the Necro's gone, and they just got to hope that there's nothing that Run for Red can do to get it back. Looks like they're going to set a Mirror Force now. This can backfire majorly if Run for Red draws another Gravekeepers here. Recruiter would obviously be the worst case scenario because you go Descendant, pop Recruiter, pop the Mirror Force, and then, MST also deals with it. But yeah, if you draw Recruiter, you go Descendant, pop Recruiter, pop Mirror Force, search out Commandant, pitch Commandant, get back Necro, which is obviously devastating. But it looks like that was not the case. So it's just a Descendant in a back row. Will that be enough? It looks like Debris Dragon is going to come down here, try and bring back that Ryko Engrave. That's going to get Oppressioned, though. And we know the hand, I believe, or actually we only know one card hand. We only know Pot. So the Oppression is going to be very good there, though, stopping that debris. And now Wagamuffin has another card they need to clear before they can actually do anything here. So, I mean, that's sort of the thing that Gravekeepers can do against these sort of decks, is just keep putting up things that are priorities to clear, right? And if you can't clear that thing, then it's all over. Interesting that they chose to summon out the Spy rather than set it, but I guess the idea is that, like, you can't actively use it under Oppression, so it's better just to try and get in the damage now, and maybe whittle down Wagamuffin to a point where they can't even use Oppression. So it's just a one-sided floodgate. So Wagamuffin just going to set one pass back. That could be a Debris, could be a Ryko, could be a variety of things. But we'll have to see exactly what it is. Now, Descendant could just pop it. That's always an option. Looks like they are indeed going to do that. They're going to pop a Dandelion. Okay, so kind of a rough thing to pop, but I think you do kind of have to do it because if it's Ryko, then that's kind of rough. But yeah, Oppression can negate it anyways, so. Yeah, it's not looking good for Wagamuffin here. Down to 2,300. Now, it's not the end of the game here if that Descendant gets in another attack, but it is not looking good either. So, set back row. Duality here. It's going to be pretty good. Let's see what they get off the top. I mean, Wagamuffin doesn't negate that, surely. Stell, Duality, and My Body is a Shield. Can't use Stell yet, but Stell might be the move just to safeguard yourself for later. My Body Shield could also be the move to try and protect the Descendant, or you could just go for Duality, try and get something better next turn. I personally would go Stell. That would be my choice, because, like, I mean, to be fair, Wagamuffin could still have Crow. So maybe the trauma of the Crow is still lingering in Run for Red's mind. But I feel like you go Stell because if they do have a way to clear the Descendant, you can go Stell, get back your stuff, and potentially set the Spy next turn, or the turn after you use Stell. So, yeah, they are going to go for Stell. I think that is the right choice. And now Descendant can attack in for 15 here. Will that connect? It looks like that will connect. So now Wagamama does not have access to Oppression. And this is not going to be necessarily the best for them there. Only 3 monsters in Grave. So they can't Avarice yet. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they do. Not looking good for them. Yep, and that's going to be a scoop. Yeah, nothing that they can really do there. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Sometimes that's how it goes against Gravekeepers. Again, the threat of Gravekeepers is not necessarily the one Necro Valley. It's all the other things that they can play in addition to the Necro Valley, right? So it's about like threats that you keep having to deal with. You have to deal with Necro Valley first. Then you have to put your resources into dealing with like Oppression if they've got that. Then you got to put your resources into dealing with this and then that and then that. And meanwhile, Gravekeepers can just sort of sit on their thumbs and be like, "Yep, I'm doing fine." Gerbil says, Genesis is the result of an intern mentioning that people seem to really like talking about Duels of the Roses every 3 months on Reddit. Maybe, I could see that. Duels of the Roses format would be very interesting if they sort of adapted the gameplay from that game into an actual like tabletop experience. That'd be neat. But yeah. Crystal Beast could be a deck in Genesis that you play. I think people have experimented with it a little bit. But yeah. Game 3 might be a different animal, though, because there won't be a turn 1 tribute from Run from Red. So Wagamama could potentially take that down. We'll have to see, though. It could go either way here. I don't think there's a clear, this person's going to win, this person's going to lose thing here. I think Wagamama is in a good spot going first, but definitely not guaranteed by any means. But what will they do here? I feel like I'm not sure, like, these sort of explosive plays that Wagamama can do turn 1 on Plant Synchro, Like, I don't even know if you'd want to extend in that sort of thing, but, just one set monster pass. We might see a turn 2 tribute. If there's a royal tribute here, that will be pretty rough for Wagamama. They probably don't have many back rows if they're only setting 1, so tribute here would go hard. Dribble says more so the deck construction than the direct gameplay, but it would be neat to see a TTRPG setup like that IRL. I don't think they'd be interested in risking it, though, after Dungeon Dice failed. Fair. I will say that Dungeon Dice was a 4Kids production, largely, so like maybe if Konami takes it under their own wings, maybe they're fine with it. I also think the early days collection did relatively well, so maybe they were noting the numbers on that or not. Oh no, not the tribute again! Tribute again, no! Okay, it's not. Okay, we're good. I saw the Descendant come out. I saw all the backer get set, and I was like, no, not three games in a row, no. But yeah, Forbidden Memories format would be interesting as well. I feel like Forbidden Memories is a bit of a tougher sell than Duels of the Roses, but there have been mods for Forbidden Memories where they add in cards that were released after Forbidden Memories came out. So I could see that being adapted and into something. Like maybe that's something that could work. But yeah, Wagamama is in a bit of an interesting spot here. What do you do? Flip up Ryko, step 1. Okay, pop in Necro Valley, you're attempting to. Will that go through? Effect Veiler. Oof. That's a good Effect Veiler. That is a good Effect Veiler. Now, Ryko does not send for cost, so that means that will be negated as well. And, yeah. What does Wagamama do from here? Do they have a tuner that they can go into something with? Unfortunately, Globe Bulb and Spore do not do anything with the Ryko there. They got Lone Fire, though. Lone Fire could potentially do something. Run for Red is thinking about it, though, which means they probably have a warning. They're going to ask about Prio, so that means it's not going to get warning yet. Lone Fire is going to tribute itself. Is there going to be an Oppression chained to this, or will a warning come down? I don't know. Spore is going to be the pick there. Interesting choice. Minecon. Okay, that explains the choice. Yeah. So this will be a 7 coming down, blowing up the board if this all connects. Book on the Spore, though, will stop that from connecting. That might be the end. Might be the end of the turn. Yeah, Riker's poking him for 2. And the thing about getting Spore instead of Globe Bulb is that, Spore can't bring itself back under Necro. So, yeah, I mean, this to me reads that Wagamama has Globe Bulb in hand, right? Because otherwise you get a Globe Bulb. I'm pretty sure Globe Bulb can move itself out of the graveyard under Necro in this format. Could be wrong, but I do think that Globe Bulb does work under this. But yeah, Descendant, it could go for damage into Raikou, or it could just poke into the Spore. I would personally poke into the Spore because it's basically dead and grave, because Necro shuts it off. Yep, they are indeed going to do that. I think that makes sense. I mean, the thing is, if they got a tuner in hand to tune with Raikou, then that's kind of awkward. But I think you want the Spore out of the picture more. Yeah, I don't know, though. It's tricky. Tricky to say. Magnum Weapon clearly the hand of, like, mainly monsters, though. Which is kind of awkward. But there are these things called differing, or people who have differing opinions, says Raz. Forbidden Memories happens to be liked. Yeah, it could be liked. I mean, I'm not saying it's not liked. I'm just saying that there could be something there. Like, I don't think I said that there couldn't be something there. I could be wrong, though. If I misspoke, then I apologize. But yeah, I think Forbidden Memories format could be something that people want if they want the nostalgia of it, you know. Could be another Valor in hand. That's the risk Wagman must take here. But I think either way, you flip up the Raikou, see what happens. Or not. Or they're just going to set another pass back. Might not be Raikou. Could be Dandy. Duality here is going to be pretty good for Run from Red, especially seeing Spy and Assailant. Ooh. Spy is going to be killer to get here. I would get the Spy. Yep. They're going to get the Spy as well. Yeah, it's going to force something out from Wagamuffin. Or else that's GG. Oh, Spy and Attack. So they're going to just hard pop it. They're not going to play around. They're like, I'm popping the thing that might be the Raikou, and it was indeed the Raikou. So that to me says that there's no effect Valor in hand. Otherwise, you just set the Spy, let a Raikou get flipped up, unless you think there's double Raikou there. But yeah, if I'm Wagmuffin, I'm thinking, okay, it's probably not effect Valor in hand. Sangan's going to be the hit into there. Getting a search, probably for a Lone Fire. Maybe for something else, though. I don't know. Debris is not useful right now. Card Trooper could be good. Looks like they're going to go for a Raikou, though. Raikou and pass. So, it's a bit awkward, though, because, again, if Runfred has another Gravekeeper, they can pop that Raikou. Sidra coming down. Sidra can be pretty good here, trying to clear that Descendant. Or at least bait out something, you know. Runfred is thinking here about what exactly to do. I think they have to deal with that Sidra somehow, right? If you got something for Sidra, you got to do it because you need that Descendant online to potentially stop the Raikou. And I assume if this is a summon stop, then, you know, it's... If you got a Battle Trick, you just let it attack in, you know? But, yeah, it looks like they don't have a Battle Trick, so they're going to lose 100 there, which is kind of rough. That's true. I speak English, not Scots. I don't speak the tongue of the Highlands, you know. I have attended a burn supper though. In college there was someone in my dorm who was from Scotland, and so he threw a burn supper. So I had haggis, had a lot of that stuff, you know, good stuff. Danced to Scottish jigs, you know. But yeah, it was fun. Anyway, Stealth here, going to add back Descendant and Spy. Spy could be a good set, but it's kind of awkward because you set Spy, Raikou pops, Necro Valley, Sidra attacks over Spy, and then it's like, you do clear it. I guess you can get a Recruiter and then summon out Descendant next turn and pop something, but there's a bit of risk involved, so I don't know. But yeah, it's a very interesting game so far. Very back and forth, even with Necro Valley up. Runfred is going to set one pass back, which sort of gives truth to the thing that someone else said in chat. I think it was PJ said in chat earlier, where the thing that makes the matchup annoying is Tribute, right? Which I think is the case here, right? Like, this is an interesting back and forth game where if Tribute came down, it would not be back and forth anymore. So Raikou is going to try and pop the Necro Valley. That will indeed go through. And this means that Wagmuffin will mill 3 as well. Only Card Trooper, kind of rough, but it's not a level 3 engrave to bring back off of the Debris Dragon if you need it. But yeah, what's going to happen now is the question. Spore could go into effect here. Go Spore, Banish, Lone Fire, bring out a 4. I don't know what you'd go into off that, though, so that's tricky. But Avarice here coming down. Avarice probably everything but the Spore and the Lone Fire, maybe? Yeah, it looks like they're going to Card Trooper, Trag, Sangan, and Double Raikou. I think that makes sense. You want a Spore play. if you if you need it, and there it is, already engraved for you. The thing is, this kind of shuts off debris a little bit, but it is what it is. 1-2 drawn there. Yeah. Ibebail his Haid. I can't speak Scots. I'm sorry. There's, interestingly enough, there's a debate over whether, not really in Scotland, I think in Scotland it's generally viewed as a language, but outside of Scotland there's a debate over whether Scots is actually its own language or if it's a dialect of English, right? Because like if you read like the poetry of like Robert Burns, right, the guy who wrote the poem that Of Mice and Men takes its name from, he writes it in Scots, right? He doesn't write it in like typical English. He writes it in the sort of Highlander brogue, right? And is that its own language if like it's recognizable enough from English? Like, I don't know. It's a bit of an interesting linguistic debate that I'm not qualified to really speak on that much. But it's kind of neat. Anywho, bottom is going to stop that T-King, which is going to be quite annoying for Wagmuffin there. But do they have something else to do with this? Are they going to attack in to what is likely a spy? Are they going to hold it in case there's like a Veiler in hand or something? I think if there's Veiler in hand, you attack in the spy anyways, because you want to Veiler to the Descendant either way. Because if you Veiler the spy, then you can't Veiler the Descendant unless you got a second Veiler. So yeah, that would be my take. I would just attack in the spy here. It does get out. I mean, then again, it does get them into... because you spy out Recruiter and then you Recruiter into Commandant and Commandant into Necro Valley. So yeah, actually it makes sense if you don't do that, I guess. But if you want to clear both the spy and whatever it brings out, I guess you could also just use Spore now, go into an Iron Chain and sort of ride from there. But this to me says that they've got an FA Veiler in hand. Necro coming down, that is brutal with the Spore engrave. Spy getting flipped up, is that going to be fine? Warning is going to come down. Okay, that explains why they didn't do anything into the spy there. So yeah, warning's going to be quite good. Descendant can still come down and run over the Ryko and deal a fair bit of damage there. But yeah, it's not as good as it would be otherwise, right? The back row is still there, and the fact that Run for Red committed the Descendant into this means that the back row might be live. But we'll have to see if it is anything or not. Spore is not online because of the Necro, which is quite unfortunate for Wagmuffin, but they do have 5 cards in hand. Surely some of those can deal with whatever Wagmuffin or whatever Run for Red's got going on. Surely. Probably, at least. I would assume so. But we'll have to see. Either way, no matter who wins, this is a hard-fought game. Hard-fought game. Very, very good one. And it looks like the Cider is going to attack in to that Descendant. That will go through. Is there going to be another Stell? That might be the move. Looks like a set monster passed back. Could be Dandy, could be Ryko. Could be a variety of things. But either way, if you're Run for Red, you're not happy about that. You are not happy about that. So the question is, what do they got here to do? They used up their 2 cards that they stelled for. They're going to set one, go for Tribute. So the Tribute is finally drawn. And that's going to be rough. Pitching a Lone Fire, a Debris, a Glow-Up Bulb, and a Titanium. So as I mentioned, Glow-Up Bulb probably in hand. Yep, it was indeed. And yeah, it's going to be rough. But Run for Red lost their hand as well. The issue is that set card, if that's Recruiter, is going to be quite annoying. There's actually a world if the set is Ryko, you flip up Ryko and... Oh, Breaker is going to be killer here. I would have maybe changed the order of this a bit. I would have probably Ryko'd and then Breakered. But to me, that means that probably is not a Ryko then. But yeah, Spore can make a play here. Or Glow-Up Bulb can make a play. Also, you got a lot of plays here. I'm very curious what the play is going to be. I'm also curious if the hand is Debris, Lone Fire, Glow-Up Bulb, Titanium. Do you set Dandy? I guess you would, probably. But it's kind of interesting. Breaker tagging in as well for 16. And just past Mag not going for a Spore play. I think that's probably fine. If they just draw Necro for turn or like Commandant into Necro, then you're probably still fine. Because, you know, they're not actually protecting themselves from this offensive pressure here. So, Yeah, Road Tribute is absolutely scary. Eddie Miguel asks, "Hey Zero, have I seen the new Genesis format?" I have, and I'm very happy that it exists. I've always been of the opinion that a rising tide raises all ships. Any alternative formats in the game is a good thing for all alternative formats in the game. So I am very happy that it's around. Oh damn, yeah. The blind alert not working out, just pitching an oppression and a Gozen match. Gozen match pretty good here. Oh, there's another tribute as well, and my body to shield. So tribute showing its downside here too as well. But yeah, I think Genesis format's great. I think anything that gets people more invested in the game and more wanting to play the game in any of its forms helps out all different forms of the game. So that's my take on it. But yeah, very, very interesting stuff there in this game here. Very grindy games, but Ragamuffin pulled it out with plants. Upsetting the Gravekeepers a bit. But to be fair, that was the one Gravekeepers match they had to face. So maybe if the bracket was a bit harder for them, maybe something would have happened. But yeah. Yeah, Run for Red, I guess, had bottomless on side right. Yeah, probably would have been the move. But I don't blame them for not doing that either. Because you don't know what else the opponent's going to have. So, yeah. But yeah, good stuff. Great stuff. And it seems like the audience poll was correct. 80% of people voted for plants. And that is indeed what won. So I hope you all enjoyed this stream here. We're going to be having another Star Strike Locals at some point coming up soon, because we should be at Star Strike at some point soon on the channel. I've got some more Lightsworn videos to finish up. Then I'll be doing Edison collaborations, probably not like all in a row. I'll probably start reaching out to people once I'm done with Lightsworn, and then I'll be sprinkling that in with my regular coverage of things like Frog and stuff like that. But I have considered doing the Fan-Made Genesis point system that people have done for certain formats, and I might do that at some point in the future. The issue is that the actual formats that are out, like, people don't really play them as much, so me doing locals for those gives people an opportunity to play them that wouldn't necessarily have an opportunity to play in an event otherwise. So generally I prioritize, like, formats that actually happened historically for the locals rather than not, but I would be, if people want to do a Genesis retro format, locals, then I would be open to it. It just, people would have to, be willing to do that, right? So yeah, but if there is enough support, I will do it. So, yeah, that would be a cool thing to do at some point. But yeah, coming to agreement is also kind of tough, with a lot of these, sort of fan-made sort of versions of these things. But, Ragrat says, I hope you all don't take care. Then karma makes your life better and me have a worse time. So that's actually a pretty nice thing to say. Thanks, Ragrats, in a windabout way. But yeah, look forward to more Lightsworn videos coming. I should have a Lightsworn video about Lightsworn coming out probably tomorrow. And yeah, it should be fun. But yeah, I'd probably make the list independently if I did do that. But yeah, it could be fun. I feel like, honestly, with GOAT, I feel like you could probably convince some of the GOAT streamers to do it, because GOAT has done sort of alternate formats versions of GOAT in the past. So that could be something that they do as well. And Edison as well. I'm sure that people would be interested in doing that sort of thing if that's their, like, main bag, like, I think, the I Am Nerd channel did some, like, alternate version of Edison, like basically time travel Edison, at one point before it was known as time travel Edison. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely people open to doing that, and I would be open to it, but it would be something that there need to be a fair amount of people wanting to do that to do it. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed as always. I'm going to be signing off here. Until next time, I'm Ben from YJ from Zero. Signing off. Peace.